Hello, everybody, and welcome to News from the Real World, podcast number 2 of the year. I'm joined here in Stutech by
Abby,
Caitlin,
Tetra,
and I'm Andrew. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start off today's conversation with a new formula for deciding the run of a Broadway show. Some guy, Abby, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, this guy, Mark Hirschberg, he's a statistician, and he came up with a multivariable linear regression model.
One of those.
One of those.
Exactly.
One of those in practice.
That is supposed to predict the lifespan of a Broadway show. He only used data from between 1988 and 2003. I could not figure out why he did that, but apparently it's because some of the shows recently have been a little too irregular, something of that nature. But to give you a couple examples of how specific this formula is, James Joyce's The Dead ran 112 runs, and by the formula was supposed to run 110. Fiddler on the Roof ran 241, and by the formula was supposed to run 239. And Epic Proportions was exactly right at 92.
Yeah, of the 10 productions that he modeled, or used his formula to predict, the average was only 7 performances off for all 10.
I thought that was the maximum.
Or it might have been a maximum.
I think that was the worst he did, was 7.
Which is kind of crazy, actually. And it's funny, though, I don't know why this should be all that surprising to us. Like, good producers, this is what they do.
They know.
Instinctively.
They know this stuff.
Is they look at a show and they think about cast, they think about recent events. So I don't know what they think about, but they think about these things, and they do it the same way, but just instinctively, I think, to figure out how good a show is going to be. Because I think another thing to point out, in my mind anyway, is that not every show is meant to succeed in the way we think.
Exactly,
of
and that was my main thought on this article. Was I think it's silly to think that everybody who puts on theater puts on a show so that everyone will see it. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, 110 performances for The Dead was probably just fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably plenty of
We're good.
It's just kind of funny how the mathematicians try to come up with some solution, for so many things. They try to have find the sequence for lottery and now theater. And, Yeah.
It's because it makes money sometimes.
I guess it's the same in film too, where they have formulas to figure out which ones are going to make money, and sometimes those are the projects that get funded or maybe more interesting material.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it helps establish how much money you should be spending on the show. So, if you think it's only going to be 120 performances, you can really kind of have a good assessment of how much return you might get on your investment and how much your investment should be. It's a business. When it comes down to it, it's all a business, and things like this can only make it easier for people to get into.
Yeah. Alright, moving on to the next one. Attention helicopter parents, college is not in your ass face. Helicopter parents. So basically what they say is for nowadays, especially parents, everywhere, they kind of try to overprotecting their kids, and they kind of point out the difference between being good parents and interesting in what the children's trying to get through and thing, but and being overprotected, and it's she kind of tried to point out the fact that overprotecting, it's okay. It's not actually a good thing, because it's actually not actually protect. It's kind of destroy and kind of make your kids try to suffer.
Socially
when it comes to socially adapted. Yeah.
You're not as confident. You're not as independent.
Yeah, not independent. I think that's the main thing. When you come to college, it's time for you to kind of rely on yourself. And now by having your mom kind of you should do this. You should not do that. Don't talk to that person. It's kind of hard for the kids to kind of
The whole basis of this article is totally foreign to me. I don't really understand why a parent needs this type of advice. But I don't know.
I know.
Especially brother. Okay. Well, it's interesting to me that she starts off the article sort of envisioning these parents who treat their kids like an investment, like like some sort of financial
commodity
statement.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's just her bad metaphor or if that's actually like something.
Well, when I read it, it's more like this is actually my kind of like personal experience. Where like my parents always say like we invest on you. That means like we put like all the efforts and energy and love and everything basically like love on you. And we like basically we just like we love you too much. We don't want to like.
It must be really hard.
But I think that's the meaning of being like to invest on the kids. So
I understand. I have a couple friends who throughout college still, called their mom to say, I'm going out to a party. It's like, dude, do not call your mom.
Right.
Tell her you're going to a frat house. Like, really bad idea. This is the wrong order of things.
Right.
That reminds me, I
Doing
should
it
call
wrong.
my mom. I haven't called her in about a month.
You should call your
worried
mother.
about you.
I still have to call.
The thing is, she's not worried about me, and I think that's maybe. I don't know if I'm less socially inept because of it, but I was a latchkey kid. Like my mom was a working mom. I came home at home. When I came home at night, I came home alone. And when I went to do something, she was busy. I didn't bother her with that information.
Right.
So I don't know if it makes a difference later on in life or not. But it seems to me that if that is your MO as a parent, going to college might be the good time to. Snip that a little bit.
Well, and they were talking about that mom sitting in on a meeting with her kid in college. Like, get out of here. And I heard about this parent too who, they wrote a letter to MIT on behalf of their child, and they were saying that he was thinking about a career in electrical engineering, thinking about MIT. He was 4 years old. That's real. What? It was on This American Life, and I was like, "This is crazy." So
that's
it's
funny.
gotten
I
really.
think that's a little too much.
I mean, that's a really extreme case, but you wonder if it's just kind of gone.
There was
really
a
far with
Portlandia
parents.
episode based around that too.
So, Grover.
Yeah, Grover. That's right. I'm sorry to say, I watched it last night.
I love it.
Well, I don't want to use it when my parents know your boundary, but
No, you're.
That's
accurate.
Alright.
So now we have an article about touring life and also about parenthood and how being a parent while working in the performing arts industry in general happens. So this woman has 2 daughters, and she liked to be on tour. That was her passion. That's what she wanted to do. She wanted to go back on the road and was worried about how she would make it work with her children. So basically the idea is that it depends on your family and it depends on your kids and what they're capable of handling. She thinks that personally for her family it made her kids more independent. Her kids were fine with it. They had family close by that they were comfortable with, that they could stay with.
Different type of helicopter parent, like flying away.
Right, exactly. Like totally the opposite. Like, you're gonna be fine if I leave you for months at a time, right? And
Build up
she,
your food bowl.
right? You can ration your food, right? But they came up with an amount of time that was too long, and they were like, I will try to avoid this if at all possible.
But that's the thing with touring shows, though. The schedule changes all the time. They add
lots.
dates. What do you do in that case? Do you shoot yourself professionally in the foot when a tour goes? We're going to do another 2 months.
Right.
If you say like, oh, I know I've been working with you for the past 6 months, but I'm out. Like that's not going to go.
That was another interesting point that she had, is that she chose to work with bands that had long breaks in between legs of their tour. So like Pearl Jam would. Pearl Jam would tour for 2 months at a time and then take a 4-month break. So she could be home with her kids, and then it was just little stints of going away. So.
I like the fact that she mentioned in the last part about choosing the partner, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Choosing somebody who's comfortable with you doing that.
Yeah.
Which I think this for me is personally a sore spot, because I don't know how any woman, speaking as a woman, from a woman who wrote this article, I'm sure it's the same for men as well, but reading that and hearing that some women are like with people who are uncomfortable with their personal success, it's like, it is 2014.
The perspective from which that was written was literary, I think. Like, she wasn't thinking about the fact that the person she was describing doesn't actually exist.
Right,
She was
exactly.
just trying to make a point.
Exactly.
It seemed to me. But yes, choose partners that give a shit about you. That's so positive piece of advice.
Well, like
That is
equal
important.
partners in your success together. Like figure this out together. I think was
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've learned a lot today. Thank you for joining us. We will be back with another segment in just a few minutes. Please come back. Okay, I'm gonna start this thing.
It's already recording.
Oh, it is. Look at that.
Is it?
Lulia's got the red button right there.
Right there. Newfangled technology.
I know.
Dang!